41 minutes, 33 seconds. That was the time Morocco went 1-0 up against Portugal in the quarterfinals of the World Cup, stepping ever so close to the edge of making history. That also meant that the remaining 48 minutes and 27 seconds, plus additional time left in the match, was going to be the longest period of their entire lives. As soon as they conceded the goal, Portugal were hungry for an equalizer. Having 74% of the ball throughout the game, they tried everything. Crosses, cutbacks, otherworldly shots and finishes. They even put Ronaldo on in the second half. They were that desperate, while Morocco valiantly defended time and time and time again until that sweet melody. They've done it. Morocco became the first African nation to ever reach the semi-finals. Jubilation plastered on the face of every fan, every player, and might I add, every African in the continent. This is just a snippet from world football's greatest competition, and the time the World Cup became an anime. Now, I understand not all of you see football in this light, and I agree. Sometimes watching a game can make you go but riding off the hype of Blue Lock, I think if I do my job right today, you'll see for yourself just how insane this year's World Cup truly was. Let's go back to Morocco, because I don't think you realize the extent of their journey. In anime, this would be the equivalent of the weak MC suddenly becoming strong. We're talking Naruto leaving to train with Jiraiya, Deku training with All Might, Kaneki turning into a half ghoul. Let's see here. Noir Stardia from Hidden Dungeon Only I Can Enter. But basically, it was like this. After drawing once and losing twice in the last World Cup, it's safe to say no one aside from their own fan predicted Morocco to reach the semi-finals, let alone go through to the round of 16. Not me, not the makers of FIFA, and not even the University of Oxford. In fact, they placed Morocco dead last in their group. No amount of references, numbers, and statistics predicted Morocco to get there, yet they proved everyone wrong. And as an anime fan, you know I love my underdog stories. You know what? No. Underdog doesn't even accurately describe their performance at all, because that's assuming Morocco even struggled in the first place. Nah, not only did they pass the group stage, but they did so by topping their group. Mind you, against Croatia, the runners-up of the last World Cup, Belgium, who came in third place and was the second highest ranking men's team in the world at that time, and Canada, who have such a young, talented squad of players and equally a dark horse in their own right. Morocco beat every single one of these teams, and guess what? They did it without letting in a single goal. They were that good at defending. They were so good at defending, they scored against themselves to prove that it was impossible. They then went on to beat Spain in the round of 16. Again, 0 goals conceded. Then beating Portugal 1-0, keeping their clean sheet record, only falling short against the previous world champions, France. But not without putting up one hell of a fight. And yes, they eventually lost to Croatia in the third place match as well, but this crazy run that they had proved to the fans, no, to the world, that football will no longer be dominated by Europe and South America alone, but that Africa will soon be able to stand toe-to-toe with these giants and shake them to their very core. This is a story you probably know all too well, because every single YouTuber was talking about it, and it's probably the reason why some of you are watching Blue Lock today. But how did we go from this to this? Japan's run this year was, in a word, unbelievable. Just like Morocco, many wrote off Japan from the beginning, given that they were in a group against Spain, a highly creative team focusing on stringing passes and controlling the ball, and Germany, who were horrendous in the last World Cup, but came in this year with a breath of fresh, young talent. And for a while, it showed. After going 1-0 down in 33 minutes to Germany, the Japanese were suffocated out of the game. They weren't even able to register a single shot on target in the first half, and this continued on in the second half. Germany completely dominated Japan throughout the course of 70 minutes, yet for some reason, for some ungodly reason, with 20 minutes left to play, Germany decided, okay, that's enough lads, let's stop playing now. And this was all Japan needed. Germany's goalkeeper Neuer parries a shot from Japan's Minamino, but this Kunigami-looking motherfucker, Ritsu Doan, was at the right place at the right time. He fires home an equalizer, and with 15 minutes left to play, the Japanese unrelenting spirit presented them another opportunity. After a pinpoint accurate pass by Kou Itakura, followed by a wonderfully caressed touch by Takuma Asano, saw them score a beauty of a finish. In just 12 minutes, Japan went from 1-0 down to 2-1 up. And it doesn't end there, because despite their performance against Germany, they lost to Costa Rica in the following game. Meaning, in order to advance to the round of 16, Japan had to either draw and hope Germany draw, or they could try and beat the Spanish team that destroyed Costa Rica 7-0 prior. You can guess what happened next. This time, Doan, again with a Kunigami-esque shot, levels it for Japan. And in what can only be described as the most anime thing ever, Kaoru Mitoma, with 1.88 millimeters of space left. By the way, that's smaller than the size of a rapeseed. I don't know what a rapeseed is. Crosses the ball back into the danger area for awaiting Ao Tanaka to finish it off. And for most people, that would be anime enough as it is, because that's the story you know, at least. But what you didn't know was that Kaoru Mitoma, the one who provided the assist, and Ao Tanaka, the one who sent Japan to the round of 16, were both childhood friends who went to Saginuma Elementary School in Kawasaki, Kanagawa Prefecture. What? It's like this shit writes itself. We need an anime of these two right the fuck now. Now, Japan is often considered by many as the fairy tale of the World Cup, the miracle run. But I don't quite agree with that, because I think a team that's more fitting of that title doesn't come from Group E, but instead from Group H, South Korea. Now, I say this because, as stupid as it sounds, Japan only had to win their game against Spain in order to advance. I know, easier said than done. But there are times when simply winning a game doesn't mean you get to go through. Now, this is where it gets a bit confusing, but I'll try my best to explain it. So a win counts as 3 points, a draw is 1 point, and a loss is 0. This was the standing of Group H before their final game, Portugal versus Korea, Uruguay versus Ghana. Here you can see that Portugal has 6 points, meaning they are guaranteed to go through. Why? Well, let's assume the worst and Portugal loses their game to stay at 6 points. Now, if either Korea or Uruguay win their games, they only get 4 points total, leaving Portugal at first, and they get to go through. Now, if Ghana wins, then they both go through, because they both share 6 points. Simple, right? This is where it gets confusing. In the case of Korea, not only did they have to win their game against Portugal, giving them 4 points total, but they also had to hope that Ghana lost their game to Uruguay, because if Ghana wins, they have 6 points, and Korea winning doesn't matter. Problem is, Ghana kinda have this beef with Uruguay that takes us way back to the 2010 World Cup, where Uruguay beat them but were heavily accused of cheating. I won't bother you with the details, I'll link you a video in the description. So now, Ghana is basically on this like Gone from Hunter x Hunter shit with a 12-year-long revenge mission to beat Uruguay, so Uruguay had to win to keep Korea alive. But now you're thinking, hold on, if Uruguay beats Ghana and Korea beats Portugal, then they're tied with 4 points. Yes, this is exactly why it's confusing. When both teams are tied, they have to look at what's called a goal difference, or GD. Basically, it's how many goals you scored in all 3 games minus how many goals you conceded in those same 3 games. Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense, but wait, both Korea and Uruguay have 0 goal difference. They're tied again. Well, in the event of a tie in goal difference, the next category we compare is goals for, or GF, something you should probably get because you're watching this video. Basically, GF is how many goals you scored total in those 3 games. That's it. So for Korea, they scored 4 goals total, 2 against Ghana, 2 against Portugal, while Uruguay only managed to score 2 goals total, kicking them out of the World Cup despite winning the last game. So Korea advancing had to rely on so many factors that were simply outside of their control. But can we just talk about how Korea even won against Portugal? Picture this. It's the dying minutes of the game in extra time. The score is tied. An audacious run by Son Heung-min, practically running the whole length of the pitch, saw him put up against 3 players like he's prime Messi playing against 5-year-olds. No room left for him to go, only for him to pass it through those same 3 players' legs, laying it off perfectly to Hwang Hee-chan to seal South Korea's place in the round of 16. Goosebumps when I saw this live. Now this video is getting pretty long, so I want to end it off with possibly the best World Cup final in history. A memory I will never forget, and a story between a team playing for one man and one man playing for his entire team. Argentina versus France. This game saw Argentina pull ahead early when Messi scored a penalty in the 23rd minute. This was swiftly followed by a masterfully built-up team goal finished by Angel Di Maria on the 36th minute. Only 36 minutes in, Argentina were already 2-0 up and were poised to lift the trophy before the first half even concluded. But as the saying goes, nothing's more dangerous than a man who has nothing to lose. A tense back and forth between these two teams carried on for 42 minutes, until the 78th minute when Argentina conceded a penalty and France's golden boy, Kylian Mbappe, stepped up to the plate. Dispatched in an instant. But there was still work to do. They were still 2-1 down with only 10 minutes left. Finding another goal was going to be a tall order, especially now that Argentina are threatened and have probably built up their defenses. Or so everyone in the world thought. Not even a minute later, a smart tackle by Kingsley Coman meant that a blistering fast set of passes were made by France. And Mbappe, who's carried this whole team on his back when others flopped, when others quivered, takes a shot first time. No touch, no nothing. Blasts it across goal and equalizes for France. Now I can tell you that I don't live in France, and I don't even support France, but just the sheer individual performance from this man made me and my neighbors yell in awe at what we were seeing. And in spite of all of that, there was still more to come. For those of you who are uninformed, when a 90-minute football game concludes and the score is tied, an additional 30 minutes is added on to hopefully finish the game off. And wouldn't you know, on the 18th minute of the available 30, Messi and Argentina struck gold. Beautifully choreographed one-touch passes from Argentina got them another goal, bringing them 3-2 ahead. And that was that. With 12 minutes remaining and players beyond tired pushed past their limits, it was all but Argentina's victory. That is, if Mbappe didn't exist. Another penalty awarded for handball against Argentina. Now, with immense pressure of doing the impossible yet again to equalize for his country, with the entire nation on his back, Mbappe stood firm, while Emi Martinez, Argentina's keeper, tried his damn hardest to get inside his head. Would he deliver? Or would the young 24-year-old succumb to the pressure? Because we've sure seen people a lot older than him do.
Did you forget who I am?
Now, when even the additional 30 minutes added on leads to a tie, the game goes into sudden death in the form of penalties. 5 people from each team take turns shooting, and whoever scores the most wins. So, who won? Well, if you're a normal human being, then you probably know it's Messi in Argentina. See, not even Mbappe, with his hat trick of goals, could save France, because unfortunately, even if you score your own penalty, he didn't account for one thing: his teammates. When the whole game was on his back, the rest crumbled. And that's basically the World Cup anime. There's way more exciting shit that happened, but these are the ones that I really wanted to talk about. Comment what you thought about the video, and I guess I'll see you on the next one. Bye.